The 11th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified on February 7th, 1795. It addresses issues related to lawsuits against states and federal courts. The amendment limits the jurisdiction of federal courts in cases where individuals sue states in order to protect state sovereignty. Full text. The judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens or subjects of any foreign state. Context and interpretations. Limitation on federal court jurisdiction. The 11th Amendment restricts the jurisdiction of federal courts, specifically stating that the judicial power of the United States does not extend to certain types of lawsuits, suits against states. The primary focus of the amendment is on suits brought against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens or subjects of a foreign state. In other words, it protects states from being sued in federal court by individuals from outside their own state or by foreign entities. Historical background. The 11th Amendment was a response to the 1793 Supreme Court case of Chisholm versus Georgia. In this case, a citizen of South Carolina, Alexander Chisholm, sued the state of Georgia in federal court over a debt dispute. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Chisholm, asserting that federal courts had jurisdiction over such cases. The decision in Chisholm led to concerns among states about the potential for numerous lawsuits against them in federal courts, which could threaten state sovereignty and financial stability. As a result, the 11th Amendment was proposed and ratified to rectify this issue. Legal cases and interpretations. Notice how they fixed their own problem, right? Because they seen that it would become a bigger problem if more citizens was to, sue. The 11th Amendment has been the subject of various Supreme Court cases which have further defined its scope and limitations. Key principles include sovereign immunity. This is one that all cops love to use. They love to use this in a legal defense, right? Or as an affirmative defense when they know they violated a person's constitutional rights. Sovereign immunity. The 11th Amendment established the principle of sovereign immunity, which generally protects states from being sued in federal court by private individuals or foreign entities without their consent. Exceptions. There are exceptions to sovereign immunity. For example, states can waive their immunity and consent to be sued in federal court. Additionally, Congress can abrogate states' immunity in certain circumstances through legislation, but must do so explicitly. In more modern implications, the 11th Amendment continues to play a significant role in limiting the ability of individuals and foreign entities to sue states in federal courts. It remains a critical aspect of the balance of power between the federal government and the states, upholding principles of state sovereignty. In summary, the 11th Amendment was introduced to address concerns about lawsuits against states in federal courts. It establishes the principle of sovereign immunity, limiting the jurisdiction of federal courts in cases involving states and protecting states' sovereignty. This is called separation of powers. They use that term a lot when invoking the 11th Amendment, separation of powers.